So you stumbled upon our podcast. Hope you got your lighter. Sup, I'm Lotta. Welcome to Functional Potheads. Welcome everybody. We here. So today we're smoking on a little Dos Scotty by Secret Garden of Washington. Boom. Oh my goodness. I'm about to be that makeup girl. I'm about to be that bitch. Dylan commented on how hairy the bud was, and I didn't look at it before rolling it or purchasing it. I smoked a pre-roll, and that told me everything I needed to know about this weed. I have to go get an eighth. I have to go get more because this shit tastes so damn good, and it takes very little of it for me to be smacked. And you just gotta have some of that on hand at home, you know? Even if you got your like mids or your intermediate weed just for your everyday smoke, you need something that will take you to the next world so you can conserve the good stuff. So please go and get some. If not, at least grab a pre-roll. Worth it. I think probably one of the best pre-rolls in this state because they hand ground the flower, and they're a small batch grow, so their weed is always fresh. I don't know, I've never been disappointed by a single strain. Today, at Weed Affirmations, last week I was thinking about myself and others, and maybe the vibe of the full moon that just hit us or whatever, but I was thinking about me this entire weekend. So I am using cannabis to further enjoy my time with me. Yesterday, I talked to a few people, but for the most part, the last 12 hours was just me, my weed, and my TV, and it was glorious. For 12 solid hours, there was just no extra outside noise, you know what I mean? Just like freedom within myself. And I think when I was younger, I was okay with distracting myself with people and their problems, right? Because it's easier to not deal with your own shit. But I've already been working on dealing with my own shit, and now I'm at the point where I just get to enjoy those moments of peace in the middle. And I don't know, like, whew, I want everybody to have that. There's always this video that pops up online of this guy like rolling weed and singing his heart out, and someone's recording from a crack in the door or whatever. And that is the peak moment for a stoner, when you're just so happy, rolling up your weed and enjoying yourself, jamming out to music. Nothing could like bring you down in that exact moment. So I just wish everybody could have those more often. Mm-hmm. Let me pass this to you. What do you think about it?
Excellent.
Excellent.
The taste, you're right about it.
Right? It's sweet. It's light because it's a Do-si-do biscotti cross. And biscotti, you know, the weed that Burner is always talking about and rapping about. You might be responsible for the genetics of biscotti coming out, but
I was just bumping him all the way here.
Right? He hasn't dropped something new. Burner is crazy. Besides like killing it in the weed game, even though you want to hate on him, besides killing it in the weed game, he's constantly releasing tracks, and just his influence in the weed industry is a thing to be awed at. You know what I mean? Like, I get why people hate on him. And I don't think he's that great. I wouldn't buy his weed either, but what he's done thus far, you know, kudos to you, buddy. Anyway, I think we just might as well move on into the news, the nitty gritty, what I've been tuning into this week. I've been avoiding New Jersey for like the last 3 episodes, maybe. They always come up once a season, and I've just been annoyed at the entire process. And so I pretty much will say something like, fuck New Jersey, and let's keep it moving to other important states. But finally, I can say something positive about New Jersey. Way back when, their constituents voted in about a 2-1 margin that they wanted cannabis. They just voted yes to it because legislators asked the question in the worst way possible. And we talked about it at the time. We were like, this is stupid. Keith and I immediately hated it. But either way, their residents said, hell yeah, we want cannabis. And then since that moment, it's been almost like they had like a thumb up their ass trying to figure out how to give their constituents cannabis. And on the 22nd, they finally signed something into place for their constituents, legalizing cannabis fully. So like they voted on it. They said they wanted it. Then they were like, okay, but how are we going to get it? And they proposed something. Then all of the activists was like, that's the dumbest shit I've ever seen. And called an emergency meeting. Like Jashida Dawson was part of it. I've watched lives on Instagram where like activists actually use their social media to network and spread information about what was happening at the hands of legislators around cannabis. So they finally get something proposed, and it's a battle back and forth, of course, like as always within the House, of everyone getting their needs met before they can pass it to the Senate and before the Senate can get it in front of the governor. So like it had to go through that whole process. And finally it got in front of their governor, and he signed 3 things. And I don't hate them. They're not as inclusive as they could be, but I don't hate them. I had to kind of look at it pro-con list. I think that's the only way we can assess each state passing laws. Like there's the gold standard of what activists and users and consumers want. There's what all of the prohibitionists want to block. And we've got to battle it out to get some measure passed for the people that just need to use the cannabis, right? So pros, under the new law, adults may legally purchase and possess up to 1 ounce of cannabis. Actually, it's 6 ounces. You can purchase 1 ounce, but you can have up to 6 ounces. And I was like, dang, I think that's almost the largest quantity passed by states. I thought that was amazing. 70% of the revenue derived from the sales tax on retail purchases will be directed towards reinvestment in designated lower income communities. So I think that's not bad, but I have questions about the effect of gentrification and where people have moved to. So either way, in theory, seems great. He signed Bill A-1897, which removes criminal and civil penalties for private possession of up to 6 ounces. That's what I was saying. So you can purchase an ounce, and then you can carry up to 6 ounces at your home or on your person and not be criminalized. So that was cool. And you of course have to be 21 or older. It also depenalizes activities involving the transfer of up to 1 ounce of cannabis and reduces criminal penalties for activities involving larger quantities, like distribution of more than 1 ounce, but less than 5 pounds. So like they actually worked on the language of the criminalization of cannabis. And I think, again, not shitty. I'm cool. You know what I mean? Because like states are eating on both ends right now with the criminalization of cannabis on the black market and the legalization. And if you don't fix the criminalization, then I think you really don't give a fuck about the people. He signed A5342, which provides a written warning system rather than criminal penalties for those under 21 years old caught with cannabis. And I thought, okay, fucking dope. So it's like 3 warnings. The first warning, they don't even tell your parents. It's just like written warning, here you go. The second warning, they give you recommendations or information about like drug rehab. And the third warning, they tell your parents and I think require you to visit a facility. And I think that's reasonable because we do know that cannabis can alter developing minds. And we're still studying it. So I'm okay with how that works out. But the fact that kids were being arrested and traumatized in that manner over cannabis, never been about. Never, ever been about. So cool. The dopest thing is that it will vacate convictions, remaining sentences in ongoing supervision or unpaid court fines for those convicted under previous law. So for those previously convicted of cannabis crimes or crimes related to the misdemeanor possession of cannabis that falls into the new categories, their shit's getting erased. And I was like, yes. it's just unnecessary for them to be going through the court system for something that you are about to sell legally. Like, it's unnecessary for them to still be dealing with these things. Like, you have to go all the way through it and then hope to get it expunged on the back end, you know what I mean, afterwards, which still costs money. So deal with it when you're writing legislation. Cons. There's no place to buy weed right now. Not a single place. And there's no place to buy weed because it took them so long to come up with legislation surrounding it that they still have to form a committee so that they can regulate the marijuana industry. Like, why did you even ask consumers whether or not they wanted weed? Even Virginia was like, okay, we're going to pass this, but we're going to set up a board, and this isn't happening till 2024. So you got weed, but not till 2024. You could have done the same thing had you just thought about the people. Since they voted, I think over 6,000 people were arrested or ticketed or put through the court system on cannabis-related crimes because it took them that long and they had no regulation in the middle. And what are cops going to do? Still do the bullshit that they've been doing. You know what I mean? So this is really why I just had no desire to talk about New Jersey. Also, no home grow, which... I mean, a lot of states start out that way, but we all know that it's pointless. I don't know. That's Jersey law right now. Like, that's what's happening there. And I did read a great article on a perspective of someone in the black market in Jersey. And he was like, I spent 1,200 days in jail for this. I'm not going to stop my black market business to just go and get some fucking retail license. I've been doing weed for 30 years. I need to go through you guys when I have a system that works and we cost them less than the regular market. It was such a great article. I cackled most of the way through it, and I think folks should read it. What I didn't realize, but thanks to this article I did, is that they have appointed a chairperson for that committee, and it's a black woman. And what they are proposing is micro business license for those that want a smaller operation, not a large one. So I would love to believe that with time, Jersey can get their act together with someone who clearly cares at the head of that committee. I just think that it's going to take time, and I don't know when it'll be for the Jersey smokers, you know, to have a fully regulated market. We had Stokes on here on the last episode that was like, Jersey is where I left it 4 years ago. So 4 years ago, they're still in the same position. So, and they have no timeline designated to fix that situation. I'm presuming by this end of the summer, they're going to have the committee together and then working on the regulations, but are they going to copy from another state? I even tapped in with Keith and was like, what are your thoughts being from the Northeast about Jersey? And he said that before signing what he signed, the governor should have spoke to activists. And I hope that the group of people that got the changes made did speak to him, but you never know. He should have spoken to people in the community before, because they got him the bills at like the last minute, the deadline they had set for themselves. They got the bills to him right before then, so he just signed that shit. So he didn't have time to have it vetted by other activists, and truthfully, they don't really care about that. As long as our needs for our general party is met and we can agree and walk that line, yeah, let's slide that bitch on through. The people claim they want it. I'm hoping he'll do better, but we'll just have to see. A new study published by the National Bureau of Economic Research and funded by the National Institute on Drug Abuse, also with the help of the federal government, indicates that regulating cannabis sales for adults is a workplace benefit by enabling older employees, 40 to 62 years old, to access an alternative option for treatment. So, people dealing with like chronic pain, they're finding that workers' compensation claims are down in states that have legalized cannabis as a result of the fact that people are treating their chronic pain and repetitive injury deals with cannabis. They're finding that those numbers are decreased. And it's an exact opposite of what people who were like lobbying for the prohibition of cannabis was saying, which was basically like, you legalize weed, then everyone's never going to work and they're going to be lazy and slow. And like the study's like, actually, bitch, you're wrong. So I saw that study and got pretty pumped. It's still in its process because it's a working paper. They haven't finalized all of the details. But the people that were claiming chronic pain, insomnia, mental health problems, nausea, as to why that they needed time off from work or out, hello, cannabis, fixing all them problems, and I'm excited to see what comes forward with the research that is allowed. You know what I mean? Because every week, every month, a new study is like, oh yeah, that bullshit you were saying, here's why you're wrong. We couldn't prove it before because they wouldn't let us study it in the labs, but we hear now, and here's why. That's the end of cannabis news for me this week. Jersey pissed me off, and I got real happy because now I have a link to send to people who say any dumb shit to me. So we're gonna throw it to a little commercial break here. We'll be back with you.
The Baker's Men Collective presents.
Well, we're back. Thanks for joining us. We're going to dive into Light Up and Listen. Cue that little dope-ass audio drop.
The Baker's Men Collective presents Light Up and Listen.
Currency dropped a new album. And he's literally been in the house just making music. That's it. I mean, I've seen his Instagram, so he's doing fun shit as well. Don't get me wrong. But if you look at his 2020 lineup and now, I don't even know. It's called Collection Agency. And always it's smoking and driving music. I never get mad when Currency gives me those tracks. His flow, the words just kind of skip across your brain because he has this twang, a nice drawl. And again, we know from last episode, like the accent. Also, Tosh Sultana, shout out to Gabby, she dropped a new album called Terra Firma, and I like it. Great vibes. I had just looked at her YouTube a couple times, watched a few videos, but that dropped. And her Pandora station is so cool because of the music that comes up with it. I put it on the other day at the shop, and everybody was rocking. It touched all kinds of music, and I don't know. Talk about it in the comment section. So shout out to Australia, and there are dope artists out there. So I've been listening to those two pretty routinely in this last week or so. An honorable mention, Duke Deuce, which I was bumping, dropped Duke Nukem, and it is straight up crunk music. You know what I mean? And it's just, I don't even know what that the beat, you know what I mean? There are those 808s? They can't be 808s. This the main drum pattern that's in the songs that I was playing when you were coming in. What is that?
Yeah, for the most part.
808s?
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't what specifically.
Oh, this just hit play.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just about every, you know what I mean? Every track, and it just throws me back to the younger me where crunk music was popping, and his crew, they go by Crunk Ain't Dead. And it's true, crunk music really hasn't died for that area, but crunk went mainstream and then fell off on the mainstream level. And I have never let crunk go because especially Atlanta crunk music, hello, thank you for my teenage years. I mean, Lil Jon and the East Side Boys dropped so many bangers at a time where I could not. I really wish I was in my 20s during that time in life because it was just litty. That's it for Light Up and Listen. What y'all been listening to? Anyone? Anything new? You? Dylan?
Honestly, I've been revisiting some of the Bay Area.
Yeah. Nice. Old school,
Mac Dre.
Oh.
Right now, yeah, to be honest.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just revisiting.
I took it back to Phil Collins this weekend. Listen, Phil Collins slaps. He has the best Disney music ever. Nobody can tell me shit about it. Okay? You can't tell me shit about it. That man can sing. It's like trying to say Sting ain't great. Like, I don't know what you're talking about. Like, those are some glorious musicians right there. I think we're done. Well, it's dope that you took the time to have a J with us. Until the next session, remember, we're just a few functional potheads out here just trying to bring the light and truth about cannabis.